Have you ever felt like a fraud, despite your accomplishments? This might sound strange to some, but it's a sentiment that resonates with many others. It's that nagging doubt that creeps up every time you achieve something significant. It's the fear that lingers whenever you are praised for your work. That, my friends, is the voice of imposter syndrome whispering in your ear. Imposter syndrome, as perplexing as it might sound, is actually a well-recognized psychological phenomenon. It's a behavioral pattern where individuals, regardless of their proficiency or expertise, doubt their accomplishments and skills, living in a perpetual fear of being unmasked as a fraud. It's the sinister whisper that convinces you that you're not as competent, not as capable, not as talented as others perceive you to be. A voice that undermines your achievements, erodes your confidence, and magnifies your self-doubt. This dastardly imposter syndrome is far from rare. It's not limited to a specific demographic, career, gender, or age group. It is a pervasive phenomenon that affects people from all walks of life. Whether you're a high-powered executive or student, a renowned artist or a humble homemaker, imposter syndrome doesn't discriminate. It stealthily infiltrates your thoughts, casting shadows over your success and accomplishments and making you second-guess your worth. Research suggests that around 70% of people will experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. Let's put that into perspective, shall we? If you're sitting in a room with 10 people, statistically speaking, 7 out of those 10 people share your feeling of being an imposter. That's right, 7 out of 10 people feel like they don't deserve their success. Imposter syndrome manifests itself in various ways. So, what the telltale signs of this psychological affliction? People suffering from this condition often attribute their success to external factors like luck, timing, or other people's errors, rather than acknowledging their own abilities, skills, and hard work. They downplay their success, deflecting praise and compliments, and dismissing their achievements as mere flukes. They live in constant fear of being found out, unmasked as the fraud they themselves to be. They experience an irrational fear that they will be exposed, that their colleagues, friends, and family will discover that they are not as competent as they have been led to believe. This fear paralyzes them, hindering their growth and preventing them from reaching their full potential. It's a vicious cycle that feeds on itself, sowing seeds of self-doubt, nurturing insecurities, and harvesting fears. So, what are the telltale signs of imposter syndrome? People suffering from this condition often attribute their success to luck rather than to their abilities or hard work. They also tend to downplay their success and live in constant fear of being found out. But here's the good news. It's possible to silence that nagging voice of self-doubt. The path to quieting it is embedded in a straightforward yet potent practice known as mindfulness. Often overlooked, mindfulness is the art and science of focusing one's attention on the here and now, on the immediate present. It requires us to turn our gaze inward and observe our thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations without forming snap judgments or rushing to conclusions. This practice is not about suppressing or ignoring our thoughts. Instead, it's about acknowledging them, welcoming them, and letting them pass through without letting them overwhelm us. It's about being in a constant state of heightened self-awareness, where we observe and accept our thoughts and as they are, without any bias or prejudice. Mindfulness, though a simple practice, holds tremendous power within itself. The most striking benefit it offers is the ability to recognize when we're being haunted by imposter syndrome. This syndrome, which makes us question our achievements and doubt our capabilities, often creeps in silently. It whispers in our ears that we're frauds and that we don't deserve the success we've achieved. But with a mindful approach, we can hear its whispers early on, challenge them, and change these negative thought patterns. Another potent tool that complements mindfulness in this battle against self-doubt is self-compassion. Many of us are adept at offering kindness and understanding to friends and loved ones when they're facing challenges. We encourage them, reassure them, and them of their strengths. But when it comes to ourselves, we somehow tend to be less forgiving and more critical. Self-compassion is about extending the same generosity of spirit to ourselves. It involves treating ourselves with same kindness, patience, and understanding that we would bestow upon a good friend navigating a similar situation. When we learn to be kinder to ourselves, we open up to accepting our achievements and acknowledging our worthiness of them. We learn to celebrate our successes rather than questioning them, and we begin to see ourselves in a kinder light. Moreover, as we deepen our practice of mindfulness, it also enables us to become more aware of the negative thought patterns associated with imposter syndrome. We learn to keep a close watch on our thoughts and feelings, identifying the ones that fuel our self-doubt and undermine our self-esteem. By simply observing these thoughts, we can acknowledge their presence, but then choose not to engage with them. Instead, we learn to reframe painting them in a more positive and realistic light. And this is the true power of mindfulness and self-compassion. They provide us with the tools to silence the voice of self-doubt, to accept ourselves as we are, and to celebrate our achievements without reservations. So remember to be kind to yourself, to believe in your worth, and to acknowledge success. Because the key to silencing that nagging voice of self-doubt lies in recognizing your worthiness and embracing your achievements. Mindfulness can also help us become more aware of negative thought patterns associated with imposter syndrome. By observing these thoughts without judgment, we can learn to reframe them in a more positive and realistic light. Grounding techniques, such as focusing on our breath or noticing the physical sensations in our body, can help us stay present during moments of self-doubt or anxiety. These methods can serve as an anchor, allowing us to bring our attention back to ourselves, to the present moment, to the physical world around us. It's akin to stepping back from a dense fog of self-deprecation and instantaneously finding oneself on solid, reassuring ground. It's about learning to separate the constant chatter of our thoughts from our innate sense of being, acknowledging the mind as a fleeting, not the epitome of our existence. These techniques work wonders when we are feeling caught in the iron grip of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is that relentless voice that insists we're not good enough, not deserving enough, despite mountains of evidence to the contrary. It's the devious seed of self-doubt that sprouts into a monstrous tree, casting a gloomy shadow over all our accomplishments, all our triumphs. Practicing mindfulness, which is essentially what grounding techniques are about, can help us prune this overbearing tree of self-doubt. It can help us to calmly navigate through the stormy waters of imposter syndrome, not by fighting the waves of self-doubt, but by learning to surf them. Another invaluable ally in our battle against imposter syndrome is acceptance. Acceptance is a multifaceted tool, a versatile weapon that we can employ in numerous ways to combat the many of imposter syndrome. Acceptance involves understanding that perfection is an elusive, subjective concept. It means realizing that it's okay not to know everything, it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to falter and fail. It is about embracing our fallibility, our humanity. We're all human, and as humans, we make mistakes. But herein lies the beauty of our existence. We learn, we grow, we evolve. Every misstep, every blunder is a stepping stone towards growth. It's a lesson, an opportunity for self-improvement. But acceptance is not just about embracing our mistakes. It's also about acknowledging and celebrating our strengths, our achievements. It's about realizing that you are deserving of your success, that you have earned every bit of it with your hard work, your dedication, your resilience. If you're dealing with imposter syndrome, remember, you're not alone. You're part of a silent fraternity of individuals grappling with the same demons of self-doubt. It's a club that counts Nobel laureates, accomplished artists, and successful entrepreneurs amongst its reluctant members. The beauty of mindfulness and acceptance is that they can help us break free from the shackles of imposter syndrome. They can help us cultivate a greater sense, self-confidence, authenticity, and self-worth. So why not give it a try? Invest in the simple act of conscious breathing, of being present. You may just find that it's the key to silencing that nagging voice of self-doubt. And remember, you are deserving of your success. You are competent, and you are not a fraud.